Hey everybody, Steve Billman here. Thanks for joining me. Hey, today we continue our video series on bass technique. And this particular video series is of a more complex technique exercises. So again, like I said in the first video, I would encourage you guys to warm up before you try any of these exercises I'm going to show you. These are not for warming up. These are for building our endurance and our strength. So I have other videos that are easier that you can warm up with, or even just practice warming up with some scales, right hand, just 16 notes on open strings or whatever. Just making sure that your hands are warm. And remember, if there's any time where you feel any pain or any discomfort, we're going to stop and you're going to rest. We don't want to injure our hand, we want to strengthen it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys two examples for building the left hand. Okay. I did the same thing in the first video, but I think it's important to have these exercises because, at least for me, my biggest problem comes with these three fingers. And so these exercises that I gave you in the first and the second video, these really helped me. I developed them because they really helped me with that problem that I was having with these three fingers. Okay. And I put them in a book. So I have a bass technique book with all sorts of different things, not just this, but right hand exercises, slapping exercises, and different things. But for these first two videos, I really wanted to focus on these three fingers. Okay. So they're going to be two separate ones, and let's look at the first one. So before I give you that, guys, I just have to say and remind you that I'm playing a five string, but I have a high C on it and a low E. So don't get confused. If I'm saying notes and you're thinking this is a G string, then it can be confusing. So, um, and if you do have a four string or a regular five string, there will be some adjustments you'll have to make because I'm going to be using the C string a lot. But again, you can still do them. It's not a big deal. It just might require some shifts, an extra shift here or there, but it's no big deal. Okay, so again, we're going to work our left hand, and we're going to especially work these three fingers. All right. So I'm starting on my C string. I'm starting on an F sharp with my third finger, and the rhythm is and gonna going down is going to end up being a triplet on all these notes. So they're going to be phrased in three. So I'm going to give them to you in phrasing of three. So we have F sharp, G, C. Then we have C sharp, D, G. Then we have G sharp, A, D. Then we have D sharp, E, and then A. Okay, so let's do that again. F sharp, G, C, then C sharp, D, G, G sharp, A, D, and then D sharp, E, A. All right, so that's descending, and again, those will end up being triplets. Now, when you first start doing this, you guys, I would recommend lifting your fourth finger when you play that, in this case, the C natural. But eventually, what you want to try to do is hold that fourth finger down on all of the strings. So when I play the C and the C sharp, I'm still holding the G down. And then I move to the D, and the same thing. I hold the D as I play the G and the G sharp. But at first, unless you have really strong hands, I wouldn't recommend it because, again, we want to work up to that. We don't want to burden our left hand so that, again, we don't want to injure it. So for right now, when you're first doing it, go ahead and lift your finger up when you play the C. But eventually you want to try to hold it down. Okay, so we ended on this A note on our E string with our second finger. So now we're going to go back up, and these are the notes. So I'm going to play A sharp, B, D sharp, E, G sharp, A, sharp, and then D. And if you notice that those are in groupings of 2, right? So those are going to be eighth notes. So we're doing this, we're going from triple rhythm to duple rhythm again, like we did in the last video. Only this time we're going to go from triplets to eighth notes. Last time I think we went from 16 notes to triplets. This time we're going to go from triplets to eighth notes. So the eighth notes are going to be slower than the triplets. So again, this really is going to challenge our inner clock, and it's really good to do that because it shows us what our tendencies are. Is our tendency to rush? Is it to slow down? And we can really sort of pinpoint those issues that we have and we can fix them. All right. Okay. So let me just play sort of half time here, not really in time, but sort of. Let me play this so that you can kind of hear what it sounds like. Okay. And I'll try to count it as well. All right. So 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now notice going up, you guys, on this, I'm trying not to let my third finger cave. Now, when I actually do it, I don't know if I'll be successful because for me, the tendency is to want to do that. But again, I'm trying to use good technique, and I'm going to try to keep that third finger from caving in like that. Okay, you want to make sure that as you're working on these technique exercises, that you're paying attention to all the elements. How is my left hand? How is my right hand? How is my time with the click? Those are all things that you really want to focus on, okay? And I like to do these with a click that I'm able to program. So in other words, I could put a click with 2 bars of time of click and then 2 bars of silence. That's a really good way to sort of not rely too much on the click as a babysitter, but that's a way where you can use the click to sort of test yourself. You know, do I have a tendency to slow down? Do I have a tendency to speed up? So that's a really good way to use a click, and I'll get into that in depth in other videos in the rhythm study course. I'm going to get into that pretty heavily, but that's just kind of a side note. It's a good thing to practice with a click where you can program 2 bars of time of click and then 2 bars of silence. You could do 1 bar and 1 bar as well, whatever works for you. But it's a good practice to get into. Okay, so with this one, you guys, I'm going to set it at 55 beats per minute. And again, the tempo doesn't really matter to me. If you can play it faster than this, then that's cool. If you need to play it slower, then play it slower. It doesn't matter. I just want you to play it clean, and I want you to play it precise. So it doesn't matter if you do it slow or fast, as long as it's clean and precise. Okay. So here we go. Let me find it. Those are the triplets. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can see, even for me, that first time when it came out of the eighth notes, it was a little bit pushed. So it's not that we're ever going to perfect this necessarily. We just want to get it to, as close as we possibly can to being solid and being in time. But that's why we do this. All right. So that's the first exercise. And again, I'm at 55 beats per minute. You could do it faster. You can do it slower. But always make sure you're doing it in a clean and precise way. Okay. Listen also to the sound you're producing. You want to create a good sound as well. All right, let me get to the other one, the second one then. So this is going to be a similar pattern in that we're going to use mostly, or actually all of it is going to be 4, 2, and 3. We're going to use these 3 fingers in this exercise. So again, I'm starting on my C string. I have an F, a B flat, a B, and a C. And then I'm going to go B flat, B, C again. Okay? These are going to be all 16th notes. So 1 E and 2 E and forgive me, that last note will be an 8th note. So 1 E and 2 E and Then I start on the C and I do the same thing on the next string. 1 E and 2 E and Next string, 1 E and 2 E and then the last one, 1 and 2 E and all right. So you can see that I'm using, it would be much easier to play it with 3 and 1, right? It'd be way easier to do that. But again, I'm trying to get the stretch in these 3 fingers. I'm trying to get the strength in those 3 fingers and the endurance in those 3 fingers. And if you're starting this and that stretch is a little bit too much, you can always like start on the 12th fret. It's not quite as bad. So again, think of this in terms of the long term. We're not trying to perfect it today. We're just starting to get a basic strength happening in our hand, and then each day that we do it, we're going to get more and more strength happening. So, you know, don't feel bad if you have to make sort of baby steps, if you will, for lack of a better term, before you can get to a place where you can play these fast and you know, way down on this side of the fretboard. Okay, so let's do that one more time, and let's just make sure we have the notes. So starting on the F on my C string, here we go, and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, so that's going down. Those are the notes. Going up, there's still going to be 16th notes. The first part was in 4/4. Now we're going to have one measure of 3/4, and it's going to go back, and there's still 60 notes like I just said, but we're going to phrase them in groups of 3. So the note value doesn't change. There's still 16th notes, and the speed of that note doesn't change. The only thing that's going to change is the grouping, where we put the accent. So when there's 4 16 notes, we accent after the 4th one. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E, right? With this, we're going to accent after every 3rd 16 note. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1. So that's going to be the idea. Okay, so anyway, here are the notes. So I'm starting on G, A flat, D, then C, C sharp, G, F, F sharp, C, and then B flat, B, F. Let's do that one more time. G, G sharp, D, C, C sharp, G, F, F sharp, C, B flat, B, F. Now as I'm playing that, I really feel the stretch. And again, you want to be careful. You don't want to injure your hand. So make sure you're doing it slow enough so that you're not pulling something. But it really is effective because I can really feel the stretch in my hand. All right. So again, I'll just sort of play it in time, but not with the click. And then you'll be able to hear it, and then I'll try it with the click. Here we go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 E and Okay. So again, that three, we're going to, going up, when we phrase it in those groups of three, it's going to create a polyrhythm. It's going to be 4/3. And I'll get into this more in my rhythm study videos. I'll get heavily into it. But you have a grouping of four happening at the same time you have the three beats. Okay. And it sort of produces this really cool tension of like uh, your notes being off the beat. It sounds almost like it's wrong, but then it comes back to the one in the right space. So it's a cool rhythmic tool to understand and to use. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into that right now, but we'll get into it. Okay, so I'm going to slow this one down. So this one I'm going to do at 47 beats per minute. And again, feel free to do this at a slower tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can feel that those accents are really kind of throwing the time off a little bit. You want to make sure that you're hitting those accents harder than you're hitting the other notes, because otherwise you sort of lose the beauty of that 4/3. You want to be able to feel the 4/3, and the accents are what are creating that. Okay, so as before with video one, I had mentioned to you guys the way to practice this. Practice it with a click. And like I said earlier, the best way to practice it is having a click that you can program 2 bars of click and then 2 bars of silence, because then it really, you're using the click to sort of test your inner clock as opposed to using it like a babysitter. So that would be the ultimate way to do it. But the other thing is you want to put a time limit on it as well. Now, with these exercises, start off really, really slow. So maybe do this for 10 seconds. Do the exercise for 10 seconds and time yourself, or 20 seconds. And then maybe next week you can go to 30 seconds or 40 seconds. And then maybe in a couple weeks you can get it up to a minute or minute and a half. But pace yourself. Don't go too quickly, but it's a good idea to use the time element, because again, if we're trying to build endurance, that time element is really going to help us with that endurance. If we're able to play these exercises that I just gave you for 5 minutes, I think we've determined that our hand is pretty strong at that point. Okay. All right, you guys. But again, if you feel any pain or any, kind of stress or anything on your hand, go ahead and stop and rest, and then you can come back and try it another time. All right. Okay, you guys, I hope this helps. Thanks for checking out my video, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.